Each year, a quarter of the adult population over 65 experiences falls, but there's a specific group of people who seem to possess incredible resistance to this risk. What's their secret? These falls aren't just annoying inconveniences, but a serious threat, being the leading cause of fatal injuries among people over 60. However, some elderly individuals move with remarkable confidence, as if they've unlocked some secret knowledge unavailable to others. This article will reveal 7 unique walking techniques used by older adults who are virtually immune to falls. Recommended by leading geriatric specialists, these methods are rarely taught to the general public. These aren't complicated physical exercises, but rather subtle adjustments in gait that, over time, become natural habits. Special attention will be paid to the 4th technique, which will undoubtedly surprise many. It turns out that most people perform an action every day that's the direct opposite of this technique, without even realizing it. If you or someone you know has experienced falls, stay tuned to learn how to change your walking technique forever and gain confidence with every step. Meet Thomas, a 72-year-old retired engineer whose life took a turn after a series of serious falls within 6 months. The last incident resulted in hospitalization with a hip fracture, which he described as a wake-up call that made him rethink many things. After the surgery, Thomas shares, "I was sure my independence was over. My daughter had already started looking for a suitable nursing home. But that's when my physical therapist opened my eyes to something that changed everything." Thomas's discovery wasn't just a set of exercises to improve balance, but a complete overhaul of his walking technique. Subtle but incredibly effective adjustments almost instantly transformed his stability. Within a year, Thomas made an incredible leap from regular falls to none at all, and even resumed moderate. Hikes with his grandchildren. His transformation isn't magic, but the result of a methodical approach. The author of this article has spent the last 2 years consulting with leading geriatric physical therapists and balance experts from advanced medical institutions. More importantly, he has carefully studied the natural walking patterns of older adults who maintain remarkable mobility even in their 80s and 90s. The results of this research have the potential to forever change your perception of walking. This isn't about temporary measures or exercises that will eventually be abandoned. These are sustainable adjustments that become automatic over time, turning into a new, natural way of moving that your body will be immensely grateful for. The proposed methods are especially relevant for those who have noticed changes in their stability, have recently experienced a fall, or simply want to maintain their independence for many years to come. And one of the key secrets lies in an action we perform dozens of times a day, often without realizing we're doing it wrong. The first secret to a confident walk may be surprising, as it's not directly related to the lower extremities. It's about vision. Where do you usually look when walking? Many older adults trying to avoid potential hazards look down at their feet. However, paradoxically, this significantly increases the risk of falls. When your gaze is directed downwards, a whole chain of negative changes occurs. The head involuntarily tilts forward, disrupting the body's center of gravity. The neck and upper back muscles experience excessive tension. The shoulders round, and most importantly, the balance system receives distorted information about the environment. This is where the 3-point gaze technique comes in. Thomas's physical therapist introduced him to this method during rehabilitation. According to Thomas, it felt unnatural at first, as he was afraid of tripping if he didn't constantly scan the surface beneath his feet. However, within a few days, his posture improved noticeably. The 3-point gaze technique is an effective way to improve posture and increase awareness while walking. First, identify the closest point of focus, 3 to 5 meters ahead. This is enough to react to potential obstacles in time without disrupting the natural position of the body. Thanks to the wide angle of peripheral vision, you can also monitor closer objects. Then regularly shift your gaze to a distant point, which could be the horizon or your intended destination. This action helps straighten the spine and restore proper posture. It is recommended to repeat this exercise every 10-15 seconds while walking. And finally, a key element is the conscious use of peripheral vision. It is important to train the ability to notice movement and obstacles on the sides without turning your head. Thomas, striving for perfection, practiced this technique daily during walks in his neighborhood. He would choose a noticeable landmark in the distance, fix his gaze on an optimal near point, and periodically direct his gaze toward the end point of his route. After just 2 weeks, I felt significant changes. My back became straighter, my breathing freer, and my self-confidence increased. Thomas shared his impressions. The scientific principles underlying this phenomenon are truly fascinating. Studies published in the reputable Journal of Aging and Physical Activity convincingly demonstrate that the direction of gaze has a direct impact on the biomechanics of walking. When experimental participants looked down, researchers recorded an increase in postural oscillations and a decrease in stride length, factors closely associated with an increased risk of falls. However, when subjects used the three-point gaze technique, their gait immediately became more stable and confident. Remarkably, their reaction time to suddenly appearing obstacles improved by almost 20%. It's worth asking yourself, how often do you look down while walking? If you've noticed this habit in yourself, don't hesitate to admit it. It is important to understand that recognizing the problem is the first step towards solving it. The correct gaze technique is certainly effective, but its maximum benefit is revealed in combination with another important aspect of walking, namely what happens in the lower body. This second secret of walking relates to how the foot makes contact with the ground. Unfortunately, many older people do this incorrectly, without even realizing it. Pay attention to how young children walk. Their movements are characterized by natural smoothness, when the heel touches the ground first, followed by a roll to the toe. However, with age, many people develop incorrect walking patterns, such as landing on the entire foot at once, flat-footedness, or worse, walking on their toes. These changes in gait negatively affect stability. When walking flat-footed, the natural cushioning and smooth weight transfer are lost, which increases the risk of falls. Walking on your toes, in turn, is like walking on a tightrope, as the support becomes dangerously narrow. The correct walking technique involves rolling from heel to toe. This is how the human body is designed to move. The basis of correct walking is the heel-to-toe roll technique. With each step, the heel should be the first to feel contact with the ground. Next, the body weight smoothly moves along the outside of the foot, ending with a powerful push-off with the toes. This method forms a reliable triangular support throughout the step, providing optimal cushioning for the ankle joint. Thomas shares his experience. For many years I walked, relying on my entire foot, which led to discomfort and fatigue. The first few days of practicing the heel-to-toe roll felt unnatural, but after just 3 weeks, I felt a significant improvement in balance. Now this technique has become completely natural and comfortable for me. Dr. James Richardson, a rehabilitation expert with more than 30 years of gait study experience, emphasizes the effectiveness of this method. The heel-to-toe roll activates the full range of motion of the ankle joint and evenly distributes the load across the entire foot. This avoids sudden and unstable movements, which often lead to falls. People with foot pain or arthritis for whom heel strike may cause discomfort are advised to start with short steps, gradually increasing their length as they become accustomed to it. Do not forget about the importance of properly fitted shoes that provide the necessary support. To improve your walking technique, you can apply a simple but effective method. This involves consciously walking in a straight line, paying particular attention to contacting the surface first with the heel, and then smoothly rolling to the toe. The key here is not speed, but a smooth transfer of body weight. Just 10 minutes of this practice daily will help form the muscle memory needed to automatically perform this movement. As a small experiment, you can try taking 5 steps right now using the heel-to-toe roll technique. If you feel a difference in stability, this indicates the effectiveness of this method. Furthermore, it's worth paying attention to the so-called forgotten stabilizers, the core muscles, which play an important role in maintaining balance but are often ignored by older adults during walking. Many associate core strength with exercises in the gym, but these muscles perform a much more important function. They are central stabilizers, providing support and balance to the entire body in motion. As people age, they often stop actively using their core muscles when walking, allowing the midsection to relax. As a result, the back, hips, and knees are forced to compensate for this missing support, leading to a chain reaction of instability and significantly increasing the risk of falls. As one patient, Thomas, noted, "I never thought about my abdominal muscles while walking. It didn't seem to have anything to do with balance. But as soon as I learned to engage my core, I immediately felt the difference, as if someone had suddenly tightened all the bolts on a wobbly piece of furniture." We will discuss a method for activating the core muscles, which, surprisingly, is simple to perform. It doesn't require exhausting crunches or grueling planks. Instead, it's suggested to use a technique that therapists have dubbed the zipping up technique. While walking, you should imagine gently pulling your belly button towards your spine, avoiding sucking in your stomach. The goal is to create a slight internal lift and tightening. This movement should be almost imperceptible to others. The effort should be about 20–30% of maximum, just enough to provide the necessary stability without excessive tension. Thomas, for example, initially had difficulty remembering this technique, so he developed a simple reminder system. He placed small colored stickers in key locations in his home, on the refrigerator, near the front door, on the bathroom mirror. Every time he noticed a sticker, he checked how his core muscles were engaged while walking for the next minute. Studies conducted by the National Institute on Aging have revealed a direct link between core stability and fall prevention. These studies show that older adults who actively engage their core muscles while walking demonstrate a significantly improved ability to regain balance when tripping or encountering uneven surfaces. A common mistake is excessive muscle engagement. It is important to remember that the goal is not to create rigid tension, but to provide gentle and stable support. When performing the technique correctly, you should be able to breathe normally and hold a conversation. For people suffering from back pain, this method often provides relief, providing proper support to the spine during movement. It is recommended to start with short periods of practice and gradually increase the duration as the technique becomes more natural. Have you ever thought about the work of the core muscles while walking? However, as practice shows, most people make a serious mistake. It's about a part of the body that many people probably use incorrectly with every step they take. The fourth secret to longevity concerns a habit that most older adults unconsciously neglect in their daily lives, and it is related to arm movements. Just remember how effortlessly and naturally children move. Their arms swing freely and rhythmically in time with each step. In contrast, many older adults, on the other hand, hardly move their arms when walking, holding them still at their sides or even clasping them in front of them. This seemingly insignificant behavior significantly increases the risk of falls. A person's arms are natural balancers. When the right leg takes a step forward, the left arm should move synchronously in the opposite direction, providing balance. This coordinated movement stabilizes the body and prevents excessive rotation of the torso, which can cause loss of balance and falls. However, the role of proper arm movement is not limited to this. It also balances the lower body, instantly increasing stability, maintains momentum, reducing fatigue, and improves proprioception, awareness of the body's position in space. Physical therapists recommend a 45-degree swing technique. The arm should be bent at the elbow at approximately 45 degrees, moving naturally forward and backward, not from side to side. During walking, the movements should be relaxed and effortless, with the hands passing the hip pocket when swinging back. Observations show that many people walk with practically no arm movement. But once you start practicing proper arm swinging, the gait changes. It's amazing how attentive children notice the changes in their parents. The author's daughter noticed a transformation in his gait even before he shared his secrets. She noted that her father began to look younger and more confident. It turns out Thomas developed a simple 3-day practice for rebooting his gait. On the first day, he recommends intentionally exaggerating the arm swing while walking for 5 minutes. This exercise, although it looks a bit unnatural, helps activate the correct movement patterns. On the second day, you should walk with a normal arm swing, but carefully monitor the synchronicity of movements. Right leg forward, left arm forward. On the third day, the emphasis shifts to relaxing the shoulders while walking, while maintaining the correct arm swing. Research conducted by scientists at the University of Michigan in the field of gait analysis has shown that proper arm swing can reduce energy consumption by almost 8% and improve recovery response after stumbling by 15%. But the most impressive discovery is that restoring natural arm swing can reduce the risk of falls by as much as 30% in people over 65. It is important to avoid a common mistake: swinging your arms across your body. The arms should move like pendulums in parallel planes without crossing the center line of the body. What about you? Do your arms move naturally when you walk, or do you try to keep them still? The author encourages you to share your observations and then announces the next secret, which he says may surprise readers as it concerns the surface on which we stand. This area, according to the author, is undeservedly neglected in most fall prevention programs. The fifth, often underestimated but extremely important aspect of stability when walking is the condition of your feet and the choice of shoes. Significant changes occur in the feet with age. First, the sensitivity of nerve endings that transmit information about balance to the brain decreases. Orthopedists call this age-related peripheral neuropathy. Second, the small muscles of the feet weaken due to constant wearing of supportive shoes. As a result, the brain receives less information about the surface, and the feet lose the ability to react to irregularities. Many older people exacerbate the situation by choosing inappropriate shoes, which orthopedists call proprioceptive isolation. A thick sole with cushioning seems comfortable, but it significantly reduces the foot's ability to feel the ground. One of the patients, Thomas, wore thick slippers, considering them ideal for his age, but his therapist called them balance blockers, explaining that such shoes make him less stable. For optimal stability, walking shoes should have 3 key features: a low and wide heel, not flat, but not higher than 1 inch, a thin and flexible sole in the front of the foot that allows you to feel the surface, and a secure fastener, laces, or Velcro. After switching to properly fitted shoes, Thomas immediately noticed an improvement in stability on uneven terrain. However, shoes are only half the solution. Thomas also began performing simple exercises to strengthen the muscles of the feet. Toe spread, sitting, spread your toes as wide as possible, hold for 5 seconds, repeat 10 times. Towel grab, pull the towel towards you with your toes, and lifting small objects, such as marbles, with your toes. Studies published in the Journal of Orthopedic Medicine have shown that just 6 weeks of such exercises improve balance scores by 30% in people over 65, and also increase confidence when walking on difficult surfaces. According to Dr. Emily Splahl, an orthopedist specializing in the science of movement, there are 200,000 nerve endings in the feet designed for safe orientation in space. The right shoes allow these endings to perform their function, and exercises strengthen the body's natural stability systems. It is recommended to check your shoes for these 3 important features. Let's consider the transforming secret of walking, which returned Thomas's confidence on rough roads, radically changing the basis of his gait. The sixth secret concerns a common mistake among older people: walking with their feet positioned too close together. When observing a person who has difficulty walking, you can often see their feet crossing an imaginary center line. This narrow gait creates the effect of walking on a tightrope, turning a stable rectangular support into an unstable line. The expanded base technique solves this problem in a simple but effective way: walking with your feet hip-width apart. This is not about an exaggeratedly wide stance, which can create additional balance problems. The optimal width corresponds to the width of the hips, creating the so-called rectangle of stability. By maintaining this width when walking, a person creates a more solid foundation for balance. Thomas shares that this technique was a real revelation for him. For a long time, he was walking without realizing it, almost crossing his legs. The physical therapist explained to him how this narrow gait caused him to sway from side to side with each step. To practice, Thomas used a simple and effective method. He placed 2 parallel strips of masking tape on the floor of his hallway, hip-width apart. Several times a day, he would walk down the hallway, making sure that each foot stayed on its line. According to Thomas, after 2 weeks of training, the correct width became automatic. Returning to his usual routes, he felt much more confident, especially on uneven surfaces such as grass or gravel paths. Mastering the correct walking technique requires an individualized approach that takes into account the physique and degree of mobility of each person. For example, taller people generally require a wider base of support than those who are shorter. If you have hip pain or arthritis, it is recommended to start with a smaller stride width, gradually increasing it as you feel better. For clarity, imagine walking on parallel railroad tracks, where the legs never cross or encroach on each other's territory. This image helps to intuitively maintain the correct stride width without being distracted by constantly looking down. Studies conducted at the Gait and Balance Laboratory at Johns Hopkins University have shown that optimal stride width reduces lateral body sway by as much as 40%, and also reduces the need for compensatory arm movements to maintain balance. For older adults, this is directly related to a reduced risk of falls. Dr. Lisa Constantinides, a balance expert, notes that when analyzing cases of falls in the elderly, a narrow gait is often identified, preceding sideways falls, which are among the most common and dangerous. Simply widening the base of support to the optimal width can significantly improve stability. The next time a person goes for a walk, it is worth paying attention to how the legs move, whether they cross or maintain a stable width. What sensations arise from this? However, the most important secret lies in what happens between steps, in those critical moments when falls are most likely to occur. The seventh and final secret of the art of walking reveals an unexpected aspect of the problem of falls. Surprisingly, the majority of incidents do not occur during straight-line movement. Experts say that most falls occur in so-called transition moments, those split seconds when a person changes their activity. These crucial moments include getting up from a chair, changing direction of movement, or turning, stopping abruptly, stepping aside, passing through a doorway, or changing surfaces, e.g. from carpet to tile. Unfortunately, many older adults tend to rush during these transition periods, not giving their balance system enough time to adapt. The body needs time to readjust when changing direction or body position, especially given that proprioception, the sense of body position in space, naturally weakens with age. This is where the technique of mindful transitions comes in, which can bring tangible improvements. Thomas's physical therapist drew attention to his habit of making abrupt, uncontrolled turns while walking. As a solution, she suggested that he master the technique of deliberate pausing before changing direction of movement. At first, this method seemed unnaturally slow, but over time it completely eliminated moments of loss of balance. The essence of the technique is a 3-second pause, a short but conscious stop immediately before changing the trajectory of movement. During this short period of time, you need to perform 3 important actions. First, stabilize your position, ensuring stability. Second, activate the core muscles, as recommended earlier. And third, focus your gaze on the point where you plan to move next. Then, initiate a new movement pattern to execute the turn, which is one of the most dangerous moments in terms of loss of balance. Instead of twisting the torso, it is recommended to use the turn and step method. This means that you must stop completely, lift your foot, and place it in the new direction. Then the body should follow the foot, and not vice versa, when the upper body turns and the legs remain in place. Thomas applied this technique, identifying the most dangerous transition points in his daily life, such as getting up from his favorite armchair, passing the turn at the bottom of the stairs, or moving through the narrow doorway in the bathroom. In each of these places, he practiced deliberate pauses. To help him remember, Thomas even placed small red stickers at these transition points. Over time, the pause became automatic, and the visual cues were no longer needed. Research at the Oregon Health and Science University's Fall Prevention Lab found that the vast majority of falls in people over 65, a staggering 87%, occur during changes in body position. Their painstaking work revealed that simply adding a short pause before each of these transitions could reduce falls by an impressive 47%. This is arguably the most effective intervention identified in fall prevention research. To master this beneficial skill, a simple daily exercise is suggested. Choose 3 to 5 of the most frequent transitions you make within your home. For a week, consciously pause for 3 seconds before each of these transitions. It's important to focus on making the movements smooth and deliberate, rather than rushed and impulsive. The 7 secrets of walking function as a single, cohesive system. The technique of looking ahead promotes proper posture, which in turn ensures an efficient heel-to-toe roll. Activating the core muscles provides the stability needed for proper arm movement. A widened base provides a solid foundation for safe transitions. Together, these elements transform not only the act of walking itself, but also the confidence with which a person moves through life. Properly implemented, these techniques don't just improve walking, they fundamentally change the perception of movement in the surrounding world. Let's consider 7 key secrets that can transform an ordinary walk. The first secret is the 3-point gaze technique. Focus your gaze forward, not down at your feet. The second secret is the heel-to-toe roll, ensuring proper foot contact with the surface. The third secret is core activation, engaging the body's central stabilizers to maintain balance and coordination. The fourth secret is using natural counterweight with arm swings, which helps balance movements. The fifth secret is foot strengthening and proper footwear, creating a solid foundation for each step. The sixth secret is the widened base technique, maintaining an optimal stride width for stability. The seventh secret is mindful transitions, involving a brief pause before changing direction of movement. Thomas's transformation after implementing all 7 techniques was truly remarkable. His gait, previously unsteady and hesitant, became confident and fluid. His posture improved noticeably. He stood up straight, breathed deeply, and moved with purpose. The most unexpected result was not only the prevention of falls, but the return of the joy of walking. As Thomas himself confessed, "I used to be afraid to walk any distance. Now my daily walks are something I look forward to." A carefully designed 7-day plan is offered to seamlessly integrate a series of techniques that can transform ordinary walking. On the first day, the focus is solely on mastering the 3-point gaze technique. Throughout each walk, consistently practice looking ahead, which is the cornerstone of proper posture and balance. On the second day, add the heel-to-toe roll to the mastered technique, while diligently maintaining the correct gaze direction. The third day marks the connection of the core to the walking process, synchronizing each movement with the rhythm of breathing, which helps strengthen muscles and stabilize the spine. On the fourth day, introduce the relaxed arm swing technique while continuing to practice all the previous elements. The 5th day is dedicated to critically evaluating footwear and beginning exercises aimed at strengthening foot muscles, which is the foundation of healthy and efficient walking. On the 6th day, attention shifts to the widened base technique, visualizing parallel tracks, which helps improve balance and coordination. The 7th day is devoted to implementing mindful transitions, especially when turning or changing direction, which allows you to maintain control and fluidity in any situation. After completing this introductory week, it is recommended to spend just 2 to 3 minutes each day before each walk mentally reviewing all 7 techniques. Over time, these techniques should become a new, natural norm. A frequently asked question is it really necessary to implement all 7 techniques? The answer is unequivocally yes. These techniques work in synergy, where each supports and enhances the action of the others, creating a holistic and effective approach to improving gait. Turning skills into automatism requires relentless repetition, yet it's worth noting the amazing neuroplasticity even in the mature brain. Regardless of age, the formation of new motor patterns is quite achievable, provided the practice is correct and systematic. It is important to realize that these techniques are aimed not only at preventing falls, but also at restoring the sense of freedom, self-confidence, and joy that accompany safe movement in the surrounding world. When the fear of falling recedes, completely new horizons of opportunity open up for a person. Falls should not be perceived as an inevitable attribute of aging, as an accident, or an annoying mistake. Often, they are the result of ingrained walking patterns that can be identified and corrected at any age. It is noteworthy that no expensive equipment or grueling training is required to achieve transformation. It is enough to consistently apply 7 scientifically sound techniques. The appeal of these walking secrets lies in the fact that, despite the need for conscious effort in the initial stage, they eventually become automatic. The brain and body accept them as a new norm, thereby providing long-term protection against